As a little kid, I used to dream about putting buildings in the empty lots. Before you could build places, you got to build the people.
Wow. He's been on your TV screen since the 90s. You've seen him in New York, Undercover, Cool Runnings, Why Did I Get Married, The Good Nurse, and The Equalizer. And that list goes on and on and on.
I was going to say, it's a good list,
It's
isn't
a really good list,
okay,
right?
so this morning for Black History Month, we're highlighting Malik Yoba. He's making history by inspiring people in the next generation. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about that clip. And so we heard you talking about real estate there, at least if I'm reading between the lines. Why is that something you're interested in, and why are you talking about that?
So I've been doing real estate development for about 15 years. Started in Baltimore. Thanks. Shout out to La Cité Development for giving me my first seat at the table. And so the whole journey, I've wanted to share what I've been learning with the community. Black folks, we have a very interesting history with the built environment. We're the only ones that had policy, federal policy, stating that we couldn't own when we used to actually be the real estate as human beings that help build this country. And so it's important to me that not only do we know the history, but we know our place in being able to affect it, the future. And so introducing the first real estate curriculum in New York City to high school students through Yoba Development, my company, builder of people, places, and things. And so that clip you saw was the launch of the work with high school students from the Brooklyn STEAM Center and Pratt Institute. We have an activation happening in a couple of months in New York called From the Ground Up, Flipping the Hood, which is about economic, community, and real estate development, combined, bringing entrepreneurs, founders, politicians, change makers together to say, if we move collectively, then we can go far. If you move alone, then you go fast, that old African proverb.
But you know, here's the thing. Life has been good to you, right?
Relatively.
Relatively. I mean, you didn't get here overnight.
No.
Obviously.
No.
You worked your way up and did all of that before all those great films and things that we mentioned, right? So how much of your own background and your own history sort of motivated you to do what you're doing now?
Well, before I was making films, you mentioned Cool Runnings, what it means to you.
Yeah.
So I found out about the audition for Cool Runnings through my work as a youth worker. I used to be the vice president of a place called City Kids Foundation in New York. So my roots from the 80s has been in education, using art to engage young people. And so this is about my three passions: real estate, filmmaking, education coming together, and being able to tell these stories on film. Created something called a Real Estate Mixtape, which is a doc series about my journey doing my first development deal that drives the education content, the curriculum. And so it's all, for me, at this chapter, after 30 years since you first saw Cool Runnings, it's about what's the legacy? Like, you know, it's not just about me, but it's about how do we lift as we climb, right? There's America's about rugged individualism, but I think what's really gonna take us over the hump is if we work more collectively and collaboratively for the greater good of the whole.
So my mom talks about leaving a legacy for my family, and she does so through real estate. I think the statistic is something well north of 90% of millionaires did so through real estate.
Real estate, yeah.
How can people get their start? I mean, it takes money to get into real estate. At least that's what a lot of people think.
It actually doesn't.
So
the first real
explain.
estate you own is in your mind. So your first investment has to be in your mind. It has to be in your education. And so you grew up with a mother that had an understanding, and so you can have this conversation.
Right.
For that child that didn't have that mother or that father, that family that had real estate education, then I feel it's part of my responsibility to make sure that those don't have it, get it. And so the way we do it is through community, right? And content creates community, right? We sit here doing a news broadcast only because there's folks on the other side watching it. You're creating community. And so the work we do is about creating community so that we can educate each other. And so,
and people listen to you because they know you. I mean, you got to admit, they go, "Oh yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about."
I used to watch Magic run around the country, right?
Right.
Opening, and I used to say, I want to be that dude.
Okay.
Like, how do you leverage your social currency for the greater good?
So what are you doing besides this? What else you got going on?
This is not enough.
It is a lot.
This is a lot.
It is a lot.
Because, you know, I'm running school. I'm here in Atlanta looking at properties today.
Okay.
Some local properties, bringing some investment in Atlanta, in Augusta. So that's my business when I leave here today. I go to Nashville when I leave here.
That's my hometown.
That's a couple of good places to invest
Yeah,
that you just
exactly.
listed.
So there's a great opportunity in Nashville to collaborate with some of the top developers.
And more films on the horizon for you?
I'm still on I'm doing Equalizer.
Right.
Been recurring on that. But this is really the legacy work. And so if there are films that I'm not producing and creating, because that's really where it's at this point for me. All the stuff you mentioned, I don't own any of that. The real estate I own, right? And I own me, and it's important at this point to build me and my IP. So
Awesome.
yeah,
We'll bring
Thank
some
you for the
investment
time.
here to Atlanta, and
that's why I'm here today.
Good deal.
Both from a property standpoint, but also continuing to teach the young people about real estate. We appreciate you being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
All right.
Don't leave me hanging, baby.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out where we're going. Yeah, I would never do that to you. You know that. We're going to post this interview online at AtlantaNewsFirst.com. We'll be back after this.